Hi guys, hope y'all are doing good. I wanted to do a video dedicated to talking about how to find your specific foundation that would work great for your skin type and your age as well. I'm going to kind of go down the order of things that are most important starting first, and then we can kind of go down the list of things that are important to know before you decide which foundation that you want to do. I actually had a whole notepad full of notes and I have it somewhere and I don't know what I did with it. That's how important this video is to me because I get this question all the time from all ages, all skin types. So I wanted to kind of give my top advice to you guys and just to kind of go over the things that I think are most important to remember when you're looking for your foundation. So I think the most important is to know what type of finish you want for your foundation and to know what kind of coverage you want your foundation to do for your skin. Because me personally, I like a full coverage foundation. I have a lot of redness in my skin. I have a lot of vascularness going on in my skin. I don't really have pigment to my skin, but my skin is uneven because of my redness of my skin. And so I definitely want just to have a lot more coverage because I want it to be really even. And I don't really want to have to see that redness because I just think it looks blotchy if I do a lighter coverage foundation on my skin. Now, other people might be okay with that. I'm not. So you just kind of have to decide what you're going to be okay with as far as the coverage of the foundation for you. So that's number one. Number two would be the texture and the finish of the foundation. So think about the type of skin that you have. If you have oily skin, if you have combination skin, if you get oily during the day, later in the day, all of those things kind of play a part when you're trying to decide what foundation that you want. Me, for instance, I start out normal in the morning and then I can get a little bit oily during the afternoon, which I'm okay with. I actually like a little bit of oil on my skin. I think that looks healthy. I think it looks natural. I love a dew on the skin. And so I like a little bit more dewy finish foundation. I set it in the morning with a good powder, and then by the afternoon, I'm a little bit shiny or a little bit dewy, and I'm okay with that. Some patients don't like that. So if that's something that, or people I call patients, sorry, I feel like I'm at work. So I think that's something that you have to ask yourself. Those are kind of two important questions that you have to ask yourself when you're trying to decide what foundation you would like to purchase. The other thing is what you're setting your foundation with in the morning as well. If you're setting it with nothing, you're going to have some issues later. You have to set your foundation with either a very light powder, or if you want something a little bit more locked in, you would want to set with a loose powder. And then if you wanted to go the extra mile like I do, you would set with either a foundation powder or another compact powder that's going to be a little bit more mattifying as well. So it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish, depends on what you're trying to pick out. Let's talk about how we're going to go get a foundation that we might want to try. My best advice, I know that not every brand you can do this with, but my best advice would be either go to Dillard's or Macy's or Sephora or some kind of department store that has samples of foundations that you can actually get a sample of the foundation, take it home and try it for a couple of days on your skin. Get a couple different colors too. You might decide, even when you go into the store, try a couple colors on your skin. My opinion is try a couple colors on your décolleté here, let them dry completely before you decide if you like the color or not. Pigment is going to change when it dries down on your skin. The undertone can change, the color can change, sometimes even 2 shades darker on your skin than when it's wet. So definitely make sure you're letting that dry before you decide which foundation which color you're gonna go for. The other thing you can do, you can obviously try it on your face. That's a personal opinion. I just think that I like to match my face to my chest. When I take my makeup off, I look like a ghost. With red. So I like to match my face to my chest. Majority of people on the planet, their face is lighter than their chest. So I like to match the two. That is a personal opinion. Again, you do what you want to do. That's perfectly fine. I don't do it as dark, and then I just add some bronzer, obviously, to match everything cohesively. So we're letting that dry, get a couple different samples of either a couple different finishes, a couple different types of foundation, and a couple different undertones of foundation. So that way you can try it on your skin, wear it during the day, and see how you like it. Use your powders with it, use your bronzers, use your concealers and all of those things. And then that way you can really, really decide if that's something that you want to purchase. And, and then the other thing too, I think there's a lot of people that don't understand that or don't know that you can actually return foundations. You can return foundations anywhere as long as you're not using a half a bottle of it. So you can do that. But I would prefer you to try it before you buy it, because what's the point? I know drugstore is a little bit harder to do that. You can't really do that with drugstore, but drugstore is not as expensive. But again, you can return it if it's something that's horrific and you just can't work with it. The other thing you can do too is if a foundation is too matte and you have another foundation that's too dewy, mix them together. Mix it together. Do a half a pump of one, a half a pump on the other, mix it on the back of your hand and apply it, and you'll probably have the best foundation you've ever had. I'm a huge mixer. If anybody's ever watched me do makeup on any client, I don't think I've ever not mixed something on a client. I don't think that's ever happened. I mix everything. So I'm a huge fan of mixing. I don't like to waste product, even when I buy things to try, because I'm always thinking I'm gonna get something, the next greatest thing, including foundations, concealers, all the things. So I'm always mixing things. It's like, I kind of liked this about this foundation, but it's a little too this, so I'm going to try it. I'm going to mix it with this. I do that all the time. So that way I'm not wasting product and I'm not wasting my money. So that's a huge, just a little tip that you can do at home to not waste money. Nobody needs to waste money. Let's be serious. You're supposed to spend it at Mid-State Aesthetics. Come on. So the other thing I wanted to go over with you guys, there's a couple of foundations that I've tried personally that I love. And it doesn't make these like the best on the market. It's just that I have personally tried these foundations, and these foundations are some of my favorite and tried and true, love them. And I would recommend them to, anybody. And I'll give you kind of what the foundation says that it's supposed to do and my experience with it. So my number one foundation of all time is MAC Studio Fix Fluid. They did change the ingredients recently. I'm not really sure why they did that. They reformulated the product. Even though they did that, it's still an amazing product. It is actually better ingredients now. So as an esthetician, it makes me feel better, but it is an amazing product. So it is oil-free. It's also a lot of skincare ingredients, which is great. It's long wearing, it's medium coverage. You can sheer it out to where you have just a sheer coverage, or you can build it up to full coverage. So that's the great thing about that foundation. It is a little more on the matte side for most people. I would say soft matte side. I keep this in my professional makeup kit for my clients because I find that on most people, I can use this on most skin, no matter what age I'm dealing with. If I want it to be on a little more mature skin, like a mom or a grandma, I can add a little bit of a moisturizer to add a little bit of hydration to it so it's not so matte if they're really dehydrated. So, you know, if I'm working on a really young client and they don't need as much coverage, I can do the same thing. I can mix a little moisturizer to it and it can thin it out a little bit where it's not as full coverage. So you can, you know, change the things of your moisturizer to your preference. A lot of patients say, well, I love the sunscreen, but I wish it had a tint to it. Make sure, put your sunscreen on, your moisturizer on, and then mix a little bit with your foundation. You have a tinted sunscreen. And then you don't have to buy another product. So I'm a huge fan of mixing, huge fan of mixing. The other thing I recommend, or the other product I recommend, is the one I'm actually wearing today. I usually wear this pretty much every day when I go to work because it is so easy to use and it's just pretty. It just looks pretty on the skin and it gives a little bit of dew to the skin without being oily. It's the LYS Skin Tint Foundation. It comes in a stick and you can actually, it says it's a skin tint, but I find that it looks more like a foundation, medium coverage, and I can build it up to pretty much full coverage. I mean, I have tons of red on my skin. You guys have probably seen me without makeup, and it's pretty full coverage. So I love it. And when I set it with a really good loose powder with my little puff, and then I go over it with my Studio Fix powder, it really, really sets really nicely. By the afternoon, I get a little bit of oiliness during the day. I actually like that. It doesn't bother me. I could probably do a little bit of like a setting powder or something now if I wanted to. I never, ever, ever do that during the day. I don't think I've ever touched up my makeup during the day. I think that's, why do I spend all that time in the morning to touch up my makeup during the day? There's no way. Anyway, love that foundation. I think any age could use that foundation because it's so versatile. You could keep it dewy, you could mattify it, it's just a great foundation. It has great ingredients in it. Excellent foundation. The other one I would recommend would be Haus Labs. Haus Labs came out with this foundation and it is excellent, excellent, excellent. I don't remember the name right off the top of my head. I think it's called Triclone. I'll link it for you guys. It's their only foundation that they have. It's Haus Labs, it's Haus. Great foundation. I think pretty much any age could use that one too. It's a nice, soft dew with it. It's a medium coverage and it is just beautiful. The color range is amazing. If you can't find your color, I don't know what to tell you. The other one I love is Estée Lauder. I think it's SPF 50 and okay, I found my notes. I told y'all there was a lot of them. Okay. This is like the next day, but it's still the same video. So, okay, so the other foundation I was telling you guys about is the Estée Lauder Futurist Hydra Rescue Moisturizing Foundation SPF 45. This foundation is beautiful if you want something that's a little more dewy finish and a little more hydrating on the skin, and it has the SPF 45 in there, so if you want a little more SPF than your regular moisturizer in it, this is a beautiful foundation. It comes in like a tube with a pump on the end of it, and it is beautiful. So there's two drugstore foundations that I've tried that I actually really, really love. There is a Maybelline Superstay that is called Superstay 24 Hour. It's called a skin tint, but you can actually build it up to about medium coverage. Even with all my redness and things like that, I can usually build it up pretty well to cover most of everything that I have on my skin. And that skin tint, foundation, whatever you want to call it, works really, really well. It's very long wearing, but it's not super matte, but it's not dewy. So it's beautiful. The only thing about that foundation is it has like the dropper in it, but I think you can find where they have a pump like on Amazon that you can put in it, so you don't have to deal with the dropper because it gets messy. So if you love that foundation and you hate the dropper, you can actually find a pump for it on Amazon. I mean, what else is not on Amazon, right? The other one that I like from the drugstore is the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Serum Foundation. Where do they come up with these names? Why do they have to be 5 million times long? This is actually, I would say, quite a dupe for the Estée Lauder one. If you put them side by side, I would say they're very, 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 very close. And this one also has SPF 35. Very similar finish, dewy, but not too dewy. Just a really beautiful finish on the skin. So I hope this helps you guys out as far as picking out the foundation that would work for you, your skin type, your age, all of those things. I'm gonna do a video soon on how to apply your foundation, what you're gonna apply your foundation with. I think that was the other thing I wanted to touch on too, is what you're applying your foundation with. If it's a sponge versus a brush versus your hands. So that all depends on the finish that you're getting on your skin as well. So if you're doing a sponge, you have to think about that sponge. Its job is to soak up product. So you have to think about if you're wanting to kind of soak up a little bit of product, if you're using like a little bit more full coverage foundation, but you don't want it to look too cakey, then a sponge might be a good idea. If you're wanting to do something where you want to do a little bit more full coverage, but the foundation might not be full coverage, you might want to use a brush that's pretty dense, that you put your foundation on your hand, push that brush into that foundation and get it really nice and saturated, and then stipple it into the skin. That's going to give you a little bit more coverage, even if it's not a full coverage foundation. So that does play a huge part in, depending on, you know, if you don't have if you have a skin tint, but you want it to be a little bit more coverage on the skin, depending on what skin tint you're using, like the Maybelline, you can build it up a little bit more, but you would have to build it up with a brush. You can't really build it up with a sponge because the sponge is just going to soak up the product. So that's another part that you have to think about when you're applying your foundation, how you're applying it. That plays a huge part. So just remember that as well. I hope this video helped you guys for application, finding your foundation type, finish, things like that, and knowing what to look for, how to look for it. And hopefully this will help you guys out. And I'll do a video soon of how to apply your foundation, how to set your foundation, and depending on what finish you want, things like that. We'll go over all of that soon. And hopefully this will help you guys out. And I'll do a video soon of how to apply your foundation, how to set your foundation, and depending on what finish you want, things like that. We'll go over all of things like that, and knowing what to look for, how to look for it. And hopefully this will help you guys out. And I'll do a video soon of how to apply your foundation, how to set your foundation, and depending on what finish you want, things like that. We'll go over all of that soon. You guys, I'll talk to you guys soon. Love you. Bye.